Uh, when I graduated from law school in 1968 at the University of Illinois, I was offered a job with the Illinois Agricultural Association, now more commonly known as the Illinois Farm Bureau, in the law department, which also served as the law department for the affiliated companies, including Country Financial. So in '68 we moved to the community, got a little bit adjusted, joined a club or two, and then in 1972 Sandy worked on Carol Reitan's campaign for mayor in Normal, which got me introduced to Carol, and she appointed me to the Planning Commission in 1972 after she was elected. And in '76 I ran for the Normal Town Council, and in '85 there had been a change, so there was one 5-year term in there. I was going to retire from the council, and Dick Godfrey decided not to run for mayor, and the other council members decided they didn't want to run for mayor, and they asked me to run for mayor, and so I ran for mayor and did that. Was mayor of Normal from '85 to '93. When I stepped down from that, I was chairing what was then known as the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development for the Bloomington Normal area, which was sort of an amalgamation of the Chamber, the Economic Development Council, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I did that for a couple of years. Decided to step down from that, and I told Mayor Carricker, who was then the mayor of Normal, that I thought I'd done about everything I wanted to do locally unless a position came open on the airport board, which, due to the unfortunate death of one of the Normal appointee at the time, came up in about 4 months after I had stepped down. So I was then spent the next 17 years on the what is now the Central Illinois Regional Airport Board, 9 years as chairman. And after I got off that, somewhere in there, I think I was on the board here for a couple of years, and was vice president, I think, in that time span. Was on the board for the Illinois Prairie Community Foundation, and served a couple of years as president, and then was called back and served as a 1-year presidency. So I was on that board for about 10 years. And then I was getting old enough, I decided it was time to get off of boards. So I serve on various short-term committees involved in community things at the current time, and we belong to some other organizations, but we're still involved, but not nearly to the extent that I used to be.
I'm not nearly as have the impressive resume that he has, but when we moved over here, I got a job teaching at ISU, and while I was doing that, I also worked in the doctorate in Doctor of Arts in History at ISU. Then, I stayed over there for, 30-some years. But the most, I think, important and interesting thing I did while I was over there was to be part of the committee that developed the Women's Studies program. And I taught U.S. Women's History. That was my special area. I taught other classes as well. But at various times I was interim director of the Women's Studies program, and then I was assistant director and academic advisor. Various times I was interim director, assistant director, and academic advisor for the Women's Studies program while I was still teaching in the history department. Oh, and then there was a period of a year,
18 months.
18 months, when I served as the interim or acting director of affirmative action. They've changed the name over there so many different times now. I don't know what it's called today, but I was the assistant to the president for affirmative action. Right. In terms of community involvement, I've been a long-time member of the League of Women Voters. I was president for a year, way back when. I've been on the board a number of times. I've been on the board of the Illinois ISU Friends of the Arts organization, president of that for 3 years. Let's see what else.
Museum?
Oh, yeah, I've been on the board for the History Museum since about 2000, and I served as secretary of the board for a number of years there. And let's see, in retirement, I've been active in ISU Senior Professionals. I served on the board there on the Education Committee. And let's see, what else? Oh, we've been very active in Heartland Theater over the years, and I was one of the early secretaries of that board back when it was just getting started. And I think that does it.
That's an awful lot.
Well, there's more, but I can't think.
Wow, that's great.
In terms of our involvement with the arts, it really started early when we just started on different trips buying art. We like originals, or, you know, they can be prints and stuff, but original kinds of works. And so we've always had that kind of an interest, and locally we, before Heartland Theater even got started, Carol Raitan and Rita Kahn invited me over to Rita Kahn's kitchen to discuss what they were thinking about in terms of Heartland Theater. This was when I was mayor. And wanted to know what kind of town support there might be. And I said, well, I'd personally support it. You know, there wasn't at that point going to be a lot of town support with the way it was. It was going to be a reader's theater for new plays. So it'd be the first time a playwright could have their play read and see, kind of react to how it sounded. Obviously, Heartland Theater has expanded well beyond that. I've been on a committee for Heartland a couple of times for sort of a long-range looks at things. Sandra and she should talk about this. She's on the play reading committee that chooses the seasons. And so we've been longtime supporters of Heartland Theater. We've been longtime supporters of the Art Center here in terms of sponsoring some shows and contributing and that sort of thing over the years, and really find this to be a fine organization for the community. It really gives us something. It's not a museum. It really is a sort of a rotating number of shows throughout the year. So it's not a static kind of an organization, and I think that brings an added dimension for the community. Now, personally, I've always thought Bloomington Normal needs an art museum. Other communities smaller than us have nice ones, and so this is my appeal to all of you who might be listening to donate your art to an art museum, which could be part of this organization. No reason they can't have two buildings. We've been very interested in theater over the years and music, that sort of thing. So just we've gone to New York many times on the ISU theater trip, visiting various museums and stuff and doing various things in New York. We belong to the Chicago Art Institute, and I don't know how many people know that it is one of the great world museums. The first time we were in Paris, they had books of the Chicago Art Institute for sale, so that was in the 70s. So we've just always just had a general interest in supporting the art, and we are eclectic in our likes. We do not, it doesn't have to be representational, although we end up buying landscapes, which are pretty representational, but it doesn't. But we like Depression art for some reason. We really like Depression art, and a lot of the graphics and stuff from the 20s and 30s really appeal to us. and then I'll think.
Okay.
Well, as Paul said, art has been very important for us. And in fact, when we were first asked to shelter in place, the two things I wanted the most, art and nature. And so I was able, we've over the years purchased catalogs of exhibits that we've been to. And so one of the things I did was pull those catalogs out and just look at the plates, you know, and that made me feel better. Missed coming here for the shows, the openings and all that. Oh, when I was a kid, my folks were very, very active in the local community theater, which was Waterloo, Iowa. And so I've always had an interest in theater, and that's what drew me to Heartland. As Paul said, I'm on the play reading committee now, which we read many, 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 many plays, trying to pick out a season. And it's very enjoyable. It gets tedious sometimes, but it's really fun. I mean, I'm the only amateur there. The others really have theater backgrounds. So I learned so much just from listening to the discussion on plays. You know, things that I read them for, is this interesting to me? And will it interest our audience? And can we do it? But they see other things that are important, and that helps me in future times when I read the plays. So I've enjoyed that a lot. Let's see, what else?
I think Sandra maybe has not mentioned that her the YWCA Women of Distinction Award, Sandra got it for the arts, for the things that she had done in the arts community, and for she's a published playwright, by the way.
In an educational journal. I like to say that the award, they changed the names of those awards over the years too, but it was for creative arts and entertainment. So I like to tell people I was neither creative nor entertaining, but I was on a number of boards and committees of our arts organizations, which is why I got it.
Well, and I think part of the reason you got it after the exhibit you curated for the History Museum on the Depression.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed that. I was a guest curator for the Journey Through the Great Depression.